Hi, my name is Chris Westfall, and I head up product marketing here at Ordr. And today I'm joined by Srini Loke. He's our Senior Director of Product Management, and he has a focus on security. And today, as we watch the conflict between Russia and Ukraine unfold, there's a lot of concern across the globe from customers and organizations in all different types of verticals and all sizes. There's concern that some of those the cyber attacks might spill over into other countries. Srini, I know a lot of our customers have reached out with these concerns, and I'd love to get an idea from you or an understanding from you what customers are asking about, what they're asking Ordr to do, how we can help.
Thank you, Chris, for the great introduction. Majority of the customers that we spoke to, they're interested in one thing. What's my devices? How are my devices communicating to Russia? Can you show me the connection landscape from my network to Russia and also from Russia to my network?
I know it's one of the core things that we can do is show those communications not only within an organization between devices, but also what are these devices talking to outside. I know that it could be a lot of data in the Ordr interface. So I'm wondering what we've done to help our customers really focus in on this particular concern.
Yeah, one of the things that we did is we tried to create a focused report for Russian communications. If you go into the reports, you can look at the reports. There are wealth of reports that we already generate. And if you go down, there is a report called Device Communication to Russia Download. This is a simple CSV format. You click on Download CSV, it automatically downloads a CSV file. And for simplicity purposes, I open the CSV file, and this is how the CSV file looks like. It has wealth of information.
So how often would a customer run the CSV report? What would be our recommendation?
The recommendation is we ask them to run it every 24 hours if they want to get updated information on a daily basis.
And so, with this report, what actually are we providing to customers? How would they sit down and use this report? What are they looking at? What would be the most important thing to focus on?
Oh, perfect. Let's look at the wealth of information that we provide in this particular report, right? First of all, the Ordr tool combines every flow to the MAC address and the profile of the device. That is very important, right? Whereas other tools are just looking at the plain IP address, the IP address might change over a period of time. But what we are trying to do is we pivot everything back to the MAC address, and we show this MAC address as the core for every device communication. First of all, we have a device MAC address, and what is the current IP address of that particular device at this point of time. You can simply view that as a device IP address. And we store a wealth of information based on the passive data on what that device is, right? This includes device operating system. And you can ask me, why is device operating system important, right? A lot of our customers run older versions of operating systems. And there are probabilities that these are vulnerable for attacks than the latest operating system. So you would want to know if your older operating system is communicating to Russia versus a newer operating system is communicating to Russia. That's device operating system. And based on the data, we can get device profile information. It's very important to understand what devices are communicating to Russia. In majority of our customers who are using a manufacturing or a healthcare customer, we have seen critical infrastructure devices that are not supposed to communicate to Russia as a part of compliance is communicating to Russia.
It makes sense. So this provides you with that focused list of all the devices that are communicating to Russia, and now you can start to look at devices with regard to risk. Like you mentioned, the operating system may present some level of risk. And also that you mentioned it's important to be able to tie back to the actual device and not an IP, since we know IP addresses can change over the duration of hours or days or weeks or what have you. What else does this report show that might be important as customers are trying to dig a little bit deeper into what might be communicating with Russia?
Exactly, right. And every profile will have a 3-level hierarchy. We can add a device group and a device category. You will understand if this is a medical device, or this is a facility device, or this is a laptop or a desktop or a workstation. Then the most important thing is you can also get the location context from the report. Where is this device connected to? which subnet is it connected to, which location is it connected to. That's very important, right? And then, yeah.
I was going to say, you're starting to gather all the information. So if you identify something that's high risk or doing something that's, I would categorize as risky behavior, you know exactly where it is, right? You're not hunting around through logs trying to locate this device. You have a general idea. If you need to take it offline, physically take it offline, you can react to that very quickly.
Exactly, right? That's a great point. What we are trying to do is we are trying to take this data and show that data and exactly pinpoint where this device is connected to, so that if you want to go quarantine or go something with it, you can simply go and work on that particular device.
What else are we showing here? I know there's, you said there's a wealth of data. What else might a customer look at or drill into?
There is a destination IP address, right? We use the geolocation database. We use the destination IP mapping, and we can tell you every Russian IP address. We can capture that information as part of our report.
You also have the domain name, so that gives you a lot of context, right? Not only the geolocation, but also the domain, so you can dig a little bit deeper and figure out what that particular domain is.
Exactly, right. And that's the beauty of Ordr versus any of the other perimeter devices. If you look at the perimeter devices, if majority of this communication on the internet is going through SSL, you don't have any visibility into the encrypted traffic. And what we do uniquely is we correlate the IP to DNS name using the DNS traffic, and we assign an IP domain name.
And it gives you a lot more context into what you're looking at, as opposed to like you said, if it's over SSL, you lose a lot of that insight and context.
Exactly. And then we also capture the destination information, right? Destination city information. Whether the city is Moscow or any other thing, we use the ASN information to come up with the city. If the city is not available, we call it as a local. Then we say that this IP address belongs to Russia, but we cannot pinpoint the city. But if the city is available, we populate the city information too.
Now it looks like the next couple of columns, you have incident type and incident score. What's the difference between those when those are populated?
Oh, that's a good question. Now we are getting into the security piece of it. What we are trying to do is we are going to give you the communication landscape to Russia. And if there are certain malicious communications, we'll automatically populate that particular category along with the risk score. So for example, we constantly track for 25 to 26 security incident types. And if any of these domain names are part of that particular incidents, then we automatically assign that, and we assign a family name to that. And for every incident that has a security risk associated with it, there will be incident risk score.
Can you give me some examples of incident types that we might see in this column?
Oh yeah, it could be phishing information, right? Majority of these Russian sites may be phishing. There may be Tor sites. There may be some kind of a malicious communication. So all of these can be part of this particular report.
Got it. And then we would assess incident. How is incident score assessed? Is it something we do, or do we pull that from external feeds or external intel?
So that's a very good score, right? Very good question, Chris. Let's look at incident score, right? What we do is we have multiple threat feeds. We get a threat feed score from 2 different threat feeds today, and you can get your own threat feeds based on the sticks and taxi feed. Each incident will have a reputation score. And if the reputation score is given from these two, we have a weighted average to calculate the aggregate reputation score. And that is why the columns A reputation, B reputation, aggregate score are provided as part of the product.
Got it. Okay. I see that as we're moving to the right here. What else are we looking at? I know there's a lot more detail here.
Then we capture the RX and the TX bytes for every session. RX is what is sent, TX is what is sent, RX is what is received from that particular, for that particular communication.
And I see some of these here, the RX bytes are at 0. How would somebody interpret that? Or, why is that significant, or are those not significant?
It is very significant, right? If RX bytes is 0, the point that we are trying to make is the communication has been blocked at the perimeter. or somebody, the communication has not been successful. But the broader point that we all want to make over here is, why is that communication happening in the first place? What we have seen at multiple places is we have seen medical devices or facility devices communicate to Russia on ad hoc basis. Why is it happening is the very important thing that you need to focus on.
Right. Okay. So, and this list gives you that a lot more context around what's happening. That now you can go and, as a customer, figure out what, why it's happening, if it should happen. There may be some legitimate use cases, although those are probably getting smaller and smaller by the day. But what would a customer do next with this information? How would they take action on this? What have we talked about quarantining, but are there other things that they might do with across their security infrastructure?
Yeah, let's look at how you can summarize this information, right? The first
good idea.
that we would recommend is, let's create a pivot table.
So we're this could be a lot of information, right? So we want to really again
summarize
drill down and focus
table. Simply summarize with a pivot table, create a new one. The first thing that we wanted to do is, okay, what are the groups, what are the device categories, and what are the device profiles that are communicating to Russia? So you can simply do this, and you can simply do the URL count. So you can see in this case, data protection Commvault is communicating to Russia twice, desktops are communicating to Russia 1491 times, and MacBooks are communicating to Russia 160 times, and medical workstations are communicating to Russia 74 times. So it gives you the complete analysis of what communications happen to Russia. Now, let's say the second piece of it is you want to just look at a set of medical devices and want to know the MAC addresses that are communicating to Russia. At that point of time, this becomes a filter, and you can automatically add a device MAC address to this particular system and filter out only medical devices. Remove select all. You can look at.
No problem. But it looks like by using the pivot table, you have a lot of flexibility in how you slice and dice and really drill it into the details.
Exactly. So let me remove the device group for a second, and let's click on the device. And if you click on medical devices, medical servers, and medical workstations, it will exactly give you the list of which devices communicated to it, what devices, what are the sessions, and what are the MAC addresses for each of these profiles. So it gives you that complete context information that you can easily slice and dice in whichever way you want to. And you can simply club this information into the UI, and you can clearly see that information and create a quarantine that particular device for further forensic analysis or incident response.
So you would take this list of MAC addresses and bring it back into the UI is what you're saying. Yes, is that right?
Exactly.
And I know that with some of our new capabilities in Ordr 8, you can apply a policy across this whole list of MACs quite easily, right?
Exactly. You can do a lot of other things.
Got it.
You can simply change the. You can simply use this list to, create a policy profile if you want.
The nice thing about our policies is that we make it very easy for you to block this potentially malicious activity or traffic while keeping that device operational, right? Which is super important. It's important that you have some of these business critical devices that you can't take offline, but you want to make sure that they're protected.
Exactly. So bottom line is, we provide a wealth of information. We give you context. Please make the decision based on what you think is applicable for your enterprise or environment.
Makes sense. I mean, this is a really great report. I know that there's a lot of information in this, something that I think customers will start to use and start to really figure out how to operationalize. But if there are questions, if people have input, what's the best way to, what are sort of the next steps? How would they engage with Ordr?
Yeah, please feel free to reach out to your customer support team or your sales rep. Or if you want to have a dedicated uh, session on what you have seen in the network and want to understand the context, we'll be able to help you out. Please feel free to reach out to your support team or sales team.
Awesome. Well, Srinivas, thank you very much for going over this. Any last thoughts? Anything else that we forgot to cover that you want to make sure we highlight?
I think the other thing that I wanted to highlight is there are some other pieces that we have as part of our recommendation. One is, we always recommend that you enable behavior anomaly detection for IoT devices so you know when they are behaving differently. And the second thing is, if you wanted to just simply look at customization of this traffic analysis on the UI, you have a simple way to do this as part of a YAML. Customize the YAML file, include only Russia, and it will automatically show only the communications to Russia. And one good thing is everything on our product is retrospective. So if you add more countries to this list, it will automatically update this list.
Makes sense. So you can go back in time and kind of look and see if other if devices have communicated with other countries, or you can actually take this report and look historically at what devices have communicated with Russia.
Exactly.
Well, awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to run through this. I think this is this is really important, a really important report, as I know. Cybersecurity obviously is top of mind for our customers, and unfortunately, the things that are unfolding in Ukraine and with Russia, that's also top of mind. But hopefully, this is something that can help people stay safe. And again, I appreciate your time going through the report, and look forward to talking to you again in the future about other things that we have in the product. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Chris, for doing this.